Welcome to Breaking Biscuits, the experience. Mark, today we're going to talk about emotional maturity, the bridge to the future. So stay tuned. Mark, welcome back to Breaking Biscuits. And we've been on a subject for several weeks now. We called it the victim mindset and innocent victims, and kind of talked about, how people, when they're young, they get victimized, and then as they become adults, they don't realize the connection that they take on this victim mindset, and it shows up certain ways and becomes detrimental in relationships. And we've been talking about how to kind of bridge that gap. So kind of a segue in that today is we want to talk about a similar subject, and we're calling it emotional maturity and the bridge to the future. And there's a scripture that I personally like. Let me find it real quick. It's in James, I believe. Maybe you have it there, but it basically says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, acted like a child, and when I became adult, I put away childish things.
Yes.
That sounds harsh from just reading it in a text perspective. But what I want to challenge our listeners to think about, like tie in what we've been talking about and tie in emotional responses in our emotional state, our emotional maturity. So if my emotional maturity was as a child, when I become an adult, I need to put that emotional childish maturity away. And the best way I can give an example of that, Mark, is, if you have a 5-year-old or had a 5-year-old, what do they do when they really want something, especially when you're in public? Like say you're in a store, they really want something and you tell them no. They get angry, they throw a fit. That's childish.
Make a scene.
Embarrass
you.
Can't control themselves. It's a great example of a lack of maturity. We laugh about it, but secretly in our homes, how many of us, when we're in a relationship and something doesn't go the way we want it, that we react in a similar way? We're angry, we're frustrated, we shut down, we walk away, we silence ourselves. It's just that awareness that we've not really developed emotional maturity at the level that we really need.
For sure. I consider myself an enlightened man for a really long time, and I have to stay in awareness of I call it spiritual intelligence or emotional maturity. And that comes from, to me, it comes like, I may kind of sort of feel a certain way, but I'm not going to act that out because it's not beneficial and it's not something it's not really that important. But some guys can't get out of the way of their own self. Toby, I bet you more than half the men in the world have that same thing. They have a letdown, for example. They, since you have this, we've been talking about this victimized mentality, meaning I was victimized. Like you said, we're going to go back to 2 weeks ago. You are not what you've been through.
Right.
If you let that be your script of your life, and what that sounds like, if people really want to know what that sounds like, is nothing works out. Every time, everything I do fails. Every dream I have never happens. People steal my ideas. All the relationships leave. That's that victim mindset that you said you are not what you've been through. And so I was thinking about the victimized mindset, or with this emotional lack of maturity, when they get when they get criticized, not criticized, but they act like a little boy when they get criticized. They act like a little boy that's being criticized when they get corrected, and when they're challenged, they feel disrespected.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I think too, there's a place that you could get intellectually. You're like at a place that you feel like you're not an emotional victim anymore. You're not a victim. You don't have a victim mindset, like intellectually, but emotionally, you still are. So, like you said, I think that's exactly what you're saying. The wounded little boy comes out when there's an emotional challenge, when you're challenged, criticized, whatever it is going on in your life in that moment. So that's really a good way to judge. The audience can judge themselves. Does the emotional boy come out, or does the mature, emotional, mature man come out, or woman, depending on who you are? Like, who comes out in those times that you're criticized and challenged? We all think we're emotionally mature when life is going well. But when we're challenged, do we act like children? And I think that's what Scripture is teaching us, is saying, yeah, it's kind of time to put childish things away, and let's start digging into why we're acting out as a little boy opposed to a grown man.
I would say, I was just sitting here thinking, let's say husband and wife, right? Wife says, doesn't even matter what it is. The situation happened and I needed you to do this and you didn't. I really, whatever. But in the man's brain, he's like, oh man, I got a whole list of stuff that I haven't told you that you do. It's like a automatic childish response, and never hearing the constructive criticism, but already got a defense mechanism of, yeah, well, you got a lot of stuff on your plate too that's bothering me, and you can't get anywhere like that.
Well, I can't help but think, if you have more than one child, like I had two, and when they were young, when one of them got in trouble, what's the first thing they did? They blamed the other one.
Yeah.
That's just a natural defense, and like that's what you're saying. That's a childish behavior. Is like, oh, well, don't criticize me. Look what you're doing.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're doing to me, but I can't say it or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Is
but I want to tell the listeners it's very common.
Oh yeah,
nothing weird. You can be on your healing journey and be really far down the road, but the important thing is that you have the awareness of what's going on.
Well, here's a line that I want to read to you, Mark, and I think this is the reason why we want to zero in on this. It says, your family can only feel as safe as you are emotionally stable. And man, especially if you're a man, I mean, it applies to both male and female, but we're both men, so we can relate to the man side easier. But my family can only feel, my wife can only feel as safe as I am emotionally stable. And if I break that down, what I'm saying is, when I'm not emotionally stable, meaning when I'm reacting to circumstances as that little boy that's throwing a fit, angry, or whatever, my family doesn't feel safe. My spouse doesn't feel safe. And that's hard to own, but it is a truth that we all face, that every man faces. And I don't want to be that. I mean, I don't want to be that man. I don't want to be the man that there's instability or a lack of feeling safe. And I don't mean like, when I say safe, I'm talking about, it could be physical, depending on how your reaction is. Yeah. But I'm thinking about, they don't feel emotionally safe. They're not at peace. They can't be themselves. Some people call it, they're walking on eggshells.
There it is. That's it.
And
That's it.
we just we own that, and that's tough to admit. So you might say, I'm going to go back. You might say and go, well, I don't have that victim mindset, but test yourself in the hot moments.
Yeah. Ask your partner, do they feel like they're walking on eggshells around you? That's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Because you're a time bomb. Probably because you're not getting your way at the end of the day.
I mean, there's a bit of selfishness there, right? We all have that in us.
I told and just to be transparent and vulnerable, I've heard that about my own life. But as we're on this journey, I'm realizing it was me with the problem. You know, It was me that was projecting. I don't think men understand because they don't know how to communicate. Like, I was thinking what you said earlier about the emotional intelligence and maturity. If they don't do the work to figure out how that works, what it looks like, they just shut it off. They put it in the back door somewhere and just be brain dead to that. And that's not a good way to live.
Well, no, they're not at peace either. So,
but I've heard the eggshell comment in my life, and I didn't want it, but I didn't know what it meant. So I talked to we talked to some guys yesterday, and we talked about every man is a priest of his home, and what that means is the priest's job is to offer sacrifice. The priest would offer sacrifice on behalf of the people, but in the home, the husband or the head of the house, whoever it is offering sacrifice on behalf of the family. Meaning, there may be some things, their needs come before mine, if I could put it that way. Their emotional needs come. That emotional maturity really is, your well-being is more important than mine right now. And that's a hard saying to feel, because I've always learned that love is defined by this: your love is your benefit at my expense. And that's what a priest would say. That's the heart of a priest. I'm going to offer sacrifice and give myself and give up my emotional temper tantrums for the good of the whole of the family. And the other thing I told him, that a priest's job was to never let the fire go out.
Mm.
So you should always check the temperature of your home. But what most men don't know, Toby, is they can change the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, if you have no emotional maturity, you start just like you said, blaming everybody else for what's going on. At some point, you have to take responsibility. That's called maturity. You can't have maturity without responsibility. It's impossible.
Yeah, really good point. And I don't think you get maturity without consistency.
Yes.
So, like, if you want to change the temperature in the home or the culture, the climate, you definitely have to be consistent. In other words, another way to look at it. Like, if you've been known, and we've all been there, to have these childlike reactions,
mm-hmm.
And you say, well, I don't want to do that anymore. Your family's probably not going to buy into that until you've been consistently showing that, which means it's going to have to get challenged. I think that's the fallacy, Mark, that I think about is this is what men do. They say, hey, I just want you to know, I'm sorry that I blew up. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm really working on it. I'm going to change and just let you know. And let's just say the wife says, no problem. I forgive you. You know, I know you're really working on yourself. So the man walks away going, man, everything's back to normal. It's good. She fully trusts me, and thinking we'll never have a problem again. And then the wife challenges him again for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Why does it matter? Maybe God's prompting her to challenge you to expose where you're at. But once it's challenged, then the question is, what do you do then? Because it's easy afterwards. It's easy when there's not conflict, but when there's conflict, that's when it matters the most. And you've actually coached me, years ago, how to kind of walk through some of this. So how did you get to a place where even though you're feeling those emotions, you've been able to rein that in and say, well, I still feel, I just don't act. How did you get there?
I remember those moments, us talking, because I think St. Paul says, it's talking about Ephesians 5, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, which we might as well just stop there. We failed. But anyway, but that's where the sacrifice comes in, right?
Right.
The picture of Jesus serving us is the greater is serving the lesser. That's the whole picture. And sometimes you have to serve the lesser, even though you feel superior or smarter or whatever you think you are. But I remember that conversation because I was just learning that Paul said this one statement, to honor your wife and respect the fact that she's a weaker vessel. In other words, not weaker in lots of ways, but emotionally, she's way far more than you are in the feeling. So you have to take that into consideration. So there literally are, you can't, treating your wife as the weaker vessel, knowing that's how they're made. They're made to be tender. A lot of times when men get emotional, they get angry and aggressive. But when women get emotional, they get, I don't know, I can't put words to it. Maybe you will in a second. But I know that when men get emotional, it's always the other side, the aggressive form. And I guess what I'm pleading to the men today is to say, take a deep breath and be aware of what's happening. If your wife's emotional, you can't match her emotional. You have to have emotional maturity. I guess it'd be like a father. I mean, you could be so angry at your kids, but you're not going to call them every name in the book and beat them bloody senseless, because you have a responsibility and maturity. That's not saying it didn't cross your mind. But,
right. I think it's a great example.
So it's like understanding your wife, maybe not as skilled or hardened to manage her emotions, because she probably has more of them than we do. We manage our 3 emotions or our 6, and they got 14, or whatever. So I think it's what it's like it all boils down to love is your benefit at my expense. So I'm willing to take a step back at what I need to help you find your footing.
Yeah, because that's what you just said at the end is what was going through my mind when we was talking, is the man that says, well, when are my needs going to get met? What about my needs? What about my hurts? What about me? And what you're saying is, as men, there's a demand on us to say, that's got to go to the back burner for now.
Mm-hmm.
And likely, if you consistently put it on the back burner and meet the emotional needs of the wife, then by default, the way she's created and made, your needs will begin to be met. But somebody has to take the first step. Like it can't be a stalemate. I mean, when you have husband and wife saying, well, my need's not met, and the other one saying, my need's not met, well, what are you going to do about it? You have a stalemate. Nothing happens. What do you do when there's a stalemate, Mark? How do you break through the stalemate?
I had a great apostle friend that he said, here's how I do my marriage counseling. Which one of you is going to die? Mm-hmm. It's taking the emotional responsibility of every man listening to this podcast. I guarantee has felt like their needs have not been heard. But I want to tell them that's part of the journey of being a priest of your home, being a leader. And what I try to do is point them to friendships and like 911 friends, people to help them manage that, because if the wife is not a weaker vessel, it's they can't handle the weight of some stuff, because with all the stuff they already have, it just tips the scale. And I look at it as 911 guys rescue, Toby. They like at the 911 thing in New York City, those firemen ran in or whatever, and they were pulling people out, and they go right back in. So that's how I look at it. It's
Well, that took a lot of courage and maturity. So this courage is a part of this, that I would take it.
yeah, it's willing to let. I feel like Jesus was the same way. He said, "Man, I have a lot of things to tell you, but you can't bear them. But I love you enough to not tell you, because I bear these burdens, but I don't want to put them on you. But I'm here to help you with yours." So literally, we can be wounded healers. We can carry burdens that are heavy for us and still heal the people that are around us, our mates, support them, do all the things. But if you're not emotionally mature, you won't do it.
Yeah.
Whenever, honestly, when we had teenagers, they act like little lawyers. You tell them to do something, they bring up every instance where that wasn't the case 3 months ago. Well, that didn't what we do last year. Now you're telling me, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
in your heart, you want to like, I don't want to say it on podcast, but in your heart, it really challenges the level of maturity you're at, and
Yeah.
you just can't do that. You can't do that.
No, we've I know you and I have been there with the teenagers. Our kids have been through that. But when you're talking, I thought of a word that came up because, we know each other really well, and I've known you for a really long time. And people that watch this podcast, some know you a little bit, some think they know you really well. But there's something that I know firsthand, and I think it's a character development that you've had over the years, and I think it shows up in this area. And I would call it discipline.
Yeah.
Like, you have a discipline in your life that you've practiced, and through that, in different areas, not even in relationships, but maybe the discipline to study, the discipline to meditate, the discipline to do whatever. But that spills over into the way you approach relationships. So because you are a disciplined person, I think you've been able to master the discipline of listening and feeling but not reacting. So if a man's not disciplined in his life at all, how could he show the discipline of emotional maturity? So it might be a place to look to start the work.
So with maturity, like I always tell people in leadership training, don't give people a privilege that they without responsibility.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said that, because we haven't talked about this, but we've had a lot of sessions in the last week and a half, and the same pattern keeps coming up. And people want help, and they want spiritual disciplines. They want a spiritual structure. Everything else in their life is going great. And I was telling them that a great spiritual pathway to overcoming anxiety and controlling your spirit is being still, just the opposite of what you think would do it.
Yeah.
But honestly, all my spiritual disciplines led me to Jesus. And it made me want to be like him, how I see him. and that was good enough for me. And I would love my wife and children more than it would always be. I would always sacrifice for them without feeling like, well, but you don't know how you hurt me. I would never
Yeah.
say that. I'd hope that people could get there, but you're right. There's no shortcut. And we have a whole generation of people that have no idea how to do the spiritual discipline part.
No, it was a model to them,
Yeah.
for one, right? And we live in an instant society.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a comedian one time said, we live in such a instant society. If we could figure out how to make instant water, we would. But it's just, everything is instant, it's just, and now with social media, you can get instant feedback on how you look, your thoughts, what you had for supper. I mean, you get instant feedback. It's
if you don't start tracking, so you have to have it.
Yeah, it's your fuel, right?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And discipline doesn't require fuel. Discipline is the decision to do something regardless of how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the definition. And that's what we're talking about in emotional maturity. I choose to react in a healthy way regardless of how I feel.
That's it.
That's a discipline.
That's not hard. I mean, that is hard to someone who's still in a victim wounded mindset. That's the whole point of this conversation.
Yeah, I have some things written down, Mark. It says, you can't undo the wounds, but you can decide who you become. You can decide that anger doesn't get the final word. These are all disciplines. You can decide that withdrawal doesn't run your marriage. And you can decide that defensiveness doesn't define your leadership. The emotional maturity is not about being perfect. It's about ownership. And I think that says a lot.
It says a whole lot, really. This is a great topic because I literally sometimes just tell the people that we coach, I tell the man sometimes, just don't say nothing. It takes spiritual maturity to not say anything.
Yeah.
Even though you have a right, even though you probably have a good story to tell, even though no matter what that is, but sometimes it's like Jesus went before Pilate, and guess what he did? He did not open his mouth.
Yeah.
He did not defend himself. He didn't defend what he needed and where he was hurt, where he was disappointed. But it was for the benefit of all. And if he wouldn't have done that, he wouldn't even been crucified. No chance. So as a priest in our homes, sometimes we have to sacrifice. Part of that sacrifice is you walk around feeling like everyone else's needs are more important than yours.
Yeah.
So welcome to the club, men. Welcome.
Yeah. Well,
welcome
I think
to the mature, responsible life walk.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, like, what I'm learning, and this is like a space I'm in as we're talking, what I'm learning and attempting to learn is there's another level of that as well. So there's a level of just absorbing and listening and not reacting. Mm-hmm. But then there's a level of the ability to put all that aside and to tap into her emotional thought process and to be inquisitive and to understand and to like put yourself in their shoes and go, wow, let me approach it from that perspective. Not even considering yourself at this point, but now you're like jumping inside of her emotional well-being and responding to that. That's like a whole nother level, but you got to do the first to get to the second.
So repeat the first step.
Is what you said. It's to listen to feel but not respond.
Right.
To put your needs aside. And the second step is to tap in to what she's feeling emotionally. And to that be your priority. You don't even exist at that moment. Sorry, guys. Just own it. You're not going to change this.
No, this is the DNA problem and the humanity makeup of people. I used to tell men, men are so silly because they're so logical. They think with their head and women feel with their heart. That's two different worlds. And so when a woman's telling her problem, situation, whatever, she's feeling it and the man's trying to think it and it's not matching. So the man's already had 3 solutions before she finished her conversation. And she don't want a solution. She wants you to tap it, get out of your head and into your heart and say, I feel you.
Yeah.
And that's spiritual, that's emotional maturity and spiritual intelligence. That's what that is.
Yeah.
That takes discipline to not give an answer until she asks you for one. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I practice. I don't always do it, but I wait until my wife wants a response. Well, I hear the magic word, what do you think? Well, glad you asked.
That's good. That's good advice.
But let's add a number 3 point.
Okay.
Number 3 point to this point 1 and 2. Point 1 was listen, right? What was 2?
Tap into her emotions.
Yeah. Point 3 is, men, if you master 1 and 2, number 3 will happen to you.
Which is your needs get met.
Turn right to you.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I thought you were going. Yeah. So that's the roadway or the pathway to getting your needs met. It's to do 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Especially as a man and a priest of the home.
Yeah.
But we live in a world, Toby, I want to say this before we go, but we live in a world that men are so shut down and emotionally detached. They just don't even listen. And a lot of guys that I live on a golf course and I just see these guys out here golf. And I know what they're doing. They just don't want to go home.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because they don't know what to do with home.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to do with. And it makes me sad. Because when I get off work, I want to go see my woman. That's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I play golf, it's going to be before I get to see her.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm enthralled by that. I'm excited about it. I want to know how the day is. I want to know what happened. I want to know what you're thinking. What'd you learn? What'd you process? And I see a lot of disconnected men in my life, surrounded by them. They haven't got a clue what their wife feels.
Right.
They've decided not to feel anymore. So they can't connect. And let's just put this out there. Sex ain't gonna fix that.
No, that's temporary.
If you were living in your head and your wife is living in her heart, that ain't gonna fix it.
No.
Not even close.
No,
even though there is a connection, I think the man opens up, but he don't know how to live there. And he goes right back to the logic.
Yeah.
And nothing's solved. That's why the woman will say, well, this ain't gonna fix nothing.
Right.
I don't know, maybe let the cat out the bag, but it's just in my heart. Because I'll never forget how you approached it. Is men really do live in their head and women live in their heart. And we are just different.
Yeah.
Don't expect your woman to get into her head. If she does, you're no match for her. You are.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, well, like I've said before, I'm the poster child of living in my head. Most of my adult life, that's where I live. So it's it's easy. It's easy to do. It's the way we're built. Well, Mark, our time's up. Any closing thoughts you want to share with the audience on this subject?
I don't know. I really enjoy this time. I would like. I know because we get comments from all over from people who don't even comment on the show. There's thousands of people watching. If you're blessed by this and inspired by it, a comment, a share, and like would really help us, especially on YouTube. We're on YouTube and Facebook, Breaking Biscuits Facebook and Breaking Biscuits YouTube. And we got a upcoming Breaking Biscuit event coming up, and we're going to talk about it more. But this subject just keeps getting better and better. I don't know how, but it just does.
Yeah, I think we're just putting a mirror in front of our own lives and sharing 120 years of experience. It's certainly not because we've walked this out in perfection, but if these are things you can catch in your 40s, early 40s, it's just gonna.
What a dream! It's a gift. You have
your
no
life
idea
is
what
only
the
going to
gift
get
is.
better.
Yeah,
it's only going to get better. So, well, Mark, with that said, let's sign off. But we just want to, like you said, thank everybody for watching, and we do love you guys out there. And feel like we're a little hard on the men today, but that's okay. We're not giving the women necessarily off the hook. They're responsible for their own emotional well-being and all that as well.
we're gonna come back around. We'll bring our wives on or whatever. We're gonna come back. This ain't over yet.
Yeah, it's not one-sided by any means, but we have a responsibility to ourselves first, and that's what we're talking about today. So we love you guys, and until next time, this is Breaking Biscuits. We'll see you next week.